Oh my God, is that a Zima?
My apologies to our Canadian friend Colin. He loves the Zima. This is the last one.
It's been sitting in our fridge for 3 years.
It's been expired since 2018. See what happens.
Good luck.
How is it?
It's gross.
It's not as good as you remembered it.
I think some of the carbonation has been lost.
I think you missed what you were doing, Rich.
It's okay.
What?
It's not as good as you remember it.
Oh, you're talking about the Chooper. Okay. Well, did you get a clean take of him saying that?
Yeah.
Well, speaking of not as good as you remember it, we're here today to
I'm not cutting out the part where you didn't get the joke.
Oh my God! You're gonna do that to someone who's not Rich Evans?
I forgot what we watched today, to be honest.
We watched Rat Finka Boo Boo.
Yeah, I got two movies in front of me. I remember watching one, so already I'm confused.
Should we point out that we're doing this discussion as a last-minute thing before winter murders us all?
Right, yes.
This is a hastily thrown together best of the worst, because it's going to be too miserable to go outside in Wisconsin for the next week and a half.
We're gonna get
Technically, it's going to be too miserable to go inside, because the reason we're filming this is because our studio is going to be too fucking cold to film it.
We'll be snowed in, and it'll be too cold to film back here.
Before a string of 14 plus days of one-digit temperatures, we're getting dumped on by snow. So
we decided to revisit an old favorite, and that went great. Connie? Welcome to another Spotlight episode. We're talking about a movie that we watched close to 10 years ago, I think. It predates Best of the Worst. It helped coin a phrase that we use on Best of the Worst, and we have not seen it in a decade, so we decided to revisit Blood Shack, aka The Chooper.
It's memorable to us because it was one of the original movie nights.
Yeah.
At least it might have been the first one I went to.
So The Chooper is a film from 1970. There are Roman numerals that fly by, and our quick read of the Roman numerals.
Mike, I'm suing you for copyright infringement.
Or the Newman Romules. We saw.
You sound like someone that made The Chooper.
We saw M and L and 3 X's.
But that's just to signify that at one point it was supposed to be a porno, the 3 X's. This is a porno filmmaker. His name's Ray Dennis Steckler. He did a couple legitimate movies before this.
Is it the same mattress
I
as
was
porno?
just gonna do it.
Why do you? Yeah, that's why those stains are there now.
Oh God.
Oh, look at it. She's sleeping right on the mattress.
Oh, gross. Why?
Ugh.
Why would you just get in your underwear? Well, the movie told her to.
You know why.
So is the lead actress a porn actress? And maybe the blonde was?
I have no idea.
You want to be in my next? It's a real movie.
Does that mean I don't have to get naked? Well, I'll meet you halfway. You'll be in your underwear. How about that? Oh, but I got to lay on that same mattress? Did you clean it from the last time? Action!
Meet me halfway. That was the last film I was in. We're stalling. We're stalling because we don't want to talk about the Chooper.
No, we can talk about the Chooper.
Let's talk about the Chooper.
Well, first of all, what is the plot of the Chooper? Take your time. It's very complicated, so make sure you remember it all.
I'm going to talk about it because, okay, real quick, this, like you said, this is 10 years back when we first started really getting into the B movies. We were laughing. We had a great time. Then we realized that there is a whole ocean of B movies out there. There is a universe.
This is the port that we set sail from.
It's a beautiful metaphor, Rich, and this is the port we set sail from. Yes, and we're going back. This is the small town we grew up in. We're going back to our stomping grounds. We're
can
looking
never
around,
go home again.
and we go, oh my God, is that the school I used to go to? It's so small and awful and gross. And is that where I used to hang out on the weekends? That's the old mall. It looks like a dump. So this is us going back to our roots, our B-movie roots, which is the Chooper.
Oh no, it's the Chooper!
Oh no!
He's just right there!
Does he have a fencing sword? It's like a swashbuckling sword, right?
Are they just running in a circle? It's not a very big house.
It's a small house, yes.
Eat your heart out, Alfred Hitchcock. But is it fun? That's why we're here today. It is our spotlight.
I know. I feel bad it's our spotlight because it was a lot more fun 10 years ago. But that was before some gems like Miami Connection.
Yeah.
That was before Neil Breen. Shit, that was before Len Kabaczynski.
Mm-hmm.
For our Diamond Cobra versus White Fox.
What?
What? Was that a video we did?
I don't remember that one.
Like if I were to go to our channel, and would I find that video?
I don't know. Did we do a video on that? But the important thing that I was trying to get to was that there are strangely two versions. There's a longer and a shorter version. The shorter version is like 42 minutes. The longer version, I think, is 1:10.
Yeah.
And there's a couple of scenes in the longer version that seem important that have been cut out of the cleaned up shorter version. It's kind of a mess.
Yeah.
The
shorter version is Blood Shack. The longer version is called the Chooper.
Yes. The Chooper is the original title, and in that we see the original title sequence. And so it's like a bunch of artwork.
Which is cool.
And,
yeah,
and it's
I liked it.
Yeah. So at some point somebody said you shouldn't call your film the Chooper.
No one knows what the fuck that is.
It sounds weird. Let's call it Blood Shack.
Oh my God!
Oh no! Oh. He kind of landed on the cop.
Get your gun.
You're not fast enough for the Chooper!
Get him, Chooper.
He stabs like one of those little birds that keep dipping into water. Okay, so there's this 150-year-old beat up shack in the middle of a absolutely giant plot of dirt and dead vegetation. And everybody wants this shack, even though people that go into the shack all are mysteriously killed by this supernatural entity known as the Chooper.
Yeah,
yes.
people are just drawn to this shack.
It's a legend. It's a local legend because teenagers show up.
Little children show up.
Look, the kids are curious. Everybody's curious about this building because it's famous for its hauntings, which is the Chooper. Like a group of teenagers, there's two guys and a girl, and they're like, we don't want to stay here. And she's like, I'm going to stay here myself.
They just abandon her in the middle of nowhere.
I'm gonna prove the legend wrong. I'm gonna stay overnight in this building.
I dare that Chooper to come get me.
I'm gonna spend the night here.
That's what you think.
That's right, mister. I heard about your ghost and how it kills people. Well, I ain't a chicken, not like my friends. I dare it to come get me.
Well, maybe they're smart. Now, maybe you just better get out of here, too.
No way, baby.
Yes, and
And
there's
so then she goes to sleep overnight on the filthy mattress. Originally, she takes out like a sleeping bag and she puts it on top of the mattress. And my thought was, oh, thank God.
Yeah.
She's not going to sleep on that filthy mattress. And then the next shot, she's taking off all of her clothes and she's lying down on the filthy mattress.
All right. But she is warned by an important character in the film. We haven't mentioned Daniel.
He's the caretaker of the rundown, disgusting 150-year-old shack with the shit-stained mattress. He's in charge of the upkeep of this.
Well, the shack is...
Which explains a lot, really.
I want to fix up this place. Fix up the ranch house. Tear down that old water tower. It's about to fall down on somebody anyway. Get rid of that old house.
That's a historical monument. It's been there for over 150 years.
You know the only history that place has got is about 150 years history of death in it. You know that.
But the point is, the backstory is, the owner of the land, the estate, has passed away about a year ago, right? And Daniel is the caretaker, the groundskeeper. He maintains the property by hanging out and throwing beer bottles into a garbage can.
Also randomly shoveling.
Some shoveling. The man...
He's cultivating. He's cultivating the dirt. You gotta keep it fresh.
He doesn't like wearing a shirt.
And he doesn't like warning people about the Chooper, but by gum, he has to do it over and over and over.
Go ahead and stay, but if the trooper comes to get you, well, you just deserve it. The trooper will get you. The trooper will get you. Stay out of there. The trooper will get you.
I warned you. I told you the trooper would get you.
But we discover throughout the plot of the film that there is a bit of the Hatfield-McCoy kind of family feud that goes back 150 years. Caroline, we're introduced to Caroline. She is an actress.
My Uncle Jim wrote some of the best horror movies I ever acted in.
Yeah, I saw a couple of them. They're pretty good. Special thrill killer for those crazy men got out you in that old haunted house, start butchering you all to death.
We don't know that in the edit we watched.
In Blood Shack, she's not an actress. She's just a woman. She's the niece,
She's
right?
the niece of the guy who passed away. She occasionally comes by and tours the property. Stays for a couple of days, has a whole assortment of outfits that she brings with to get dusty.
She makes sure that dirt's getting shoveled by Daniel.
Yep, and she tours the property.
Is she gonna sit on the dirty mattress?
Everybody sits on the dirty mattress.
I have a feeling this lady...
Yeah, she put her foot down.
She's got all these like high fashion outfits.
I'm not rubbing my naked ass on that mattress.
And her great-great-grandfather and this guy named Tim something who wants to buy the property, his great-great-grandfather, those two grandfathers had a poker game where they were what was up for the pot in the poker game was the deed to this property. And it's speculated that Carol's grandfather cheated during the poker game, which led to a showdown at noon.
This is a lot of exposition. How do we know any of this?
Through extensive voiceover while people are walking.
Daniel told me the reason Tim Foster wanted the ranch so badly was that he felt it belonged to him. You see, back over 100 years ago, their half belonged to Tim's great-grandfather, Jim, and put up the ranches as stakes. Well, my grandfather's day, there they were, out in the streets of town. Grandfather Silas, only a close distance. But ever since Daniel can remember, he said he believed the deck of cards had been stacked against him.
Who needs scenes when you can just film people walking and add voiceover?
That all this property rightfully belonged to the Fosters, not the Craigs.
How do you convey information in movies?
Tim Foster was right, though, when he said I owned a lot of good property. For one thing, it was the biggest Daniel said I had over 10,000 acres that were situated directly about half the rest of the state. I not only owned very good besides that, it was artistic, very good feet, and there was nothing.
Is this the worst possible way of conveying expositional information? Like an opening...
Not in terms of the filmmaking, because that saves them a whole lot of time. Some of these scenes they just don't have to shoot.
Like an opening text crawl would have been much better, right?
Like a fantasy film?
Yeah.
It's like the opening of Star Wars.
I mean, you could have a scene of discovery.
Ooh, or you have a scene that takes place in like 1864.
Flashback.
That's how you start your film.
Yeah.
A flashback. Your bottom of the barrel choice is filming people walking around while
With a long lens.
you just read the plot.
Do you think they didn't have any plot when they shot the movie? He just filmed them and they're like, we'll figure it out later and add voiceover.
Possibly. That's the worst case scenario. The next one is someone just straight up telling her.
Yeah.
Well, or your grandfather did this and this, blah, blah, blah.
Camera A, camera B.
Third is discovery. Maybe she had no idea about the history of the property.
Goes to the library.
Goes to the library and then looks at a newspaper. Wow. And the old librarian comes over. Oh, I know about the Chooper property.
or you can do the James Cameron method.
I'm here to help you. I'm Reese, Sergeant TechCom, BN 38416, assigned to protect you.
Which Terminator, the expository dialogue, like time travel, this and that, is just all just told during an exciting action car chase.
All right, listen. The Terminator's an infiltration unit. Part man, part machine. Underneath, it's a hyperalloy combat chassis. But outside, it's living human tissue. Flesh, skin, hair, blood grown for the cyborgs.
I mean, that's the famous, that's the legend of Blood Shack. And that's where our phrase in the early days of Best of the Worst came from, is that the movie was notoriously short because there's so little story to the movie that to pad out the running time, they just went to the rodeo and shot a bunch of B-roll, which led to our expression, shooting the rodeo, which is whenever you see a movie where there's clearly padding just to stretch out the running time, where they just go to a parade or they go to some sort of public event to add production value to your film and pad out the running time.
Yeah, it's not specifically just padding, it's serendipitous padding, where it's like there happens to be a rodeo happening in this middle of nowhere dirt town, because they do have a scene where they go into town, and it is something to be desired, their town.
In the meantime, I called up Mrs. Potts and asked her if she would show me around.
Who's Mrs. Potts?
Take the kids on a little shopping spree before we went to the rodeo.
What kids?
The neighbors? She's now their mother. There's Mrs.
Potts is the mother.
Okay.
We haven't been introduced to her, but now we understand those are her kids.
Yeah. You know, they just took the cameras out, MOS, no audio equipment.
They try to tie it in a little bit, because like Tim shows up, and she's there, but then they just add voiceover to explain what he's talking to her about instead of us seeing what he's talking about.
The music is making noise.
Oh no, he's there.
Tim Foster.
I'd say the rodeo scenes in this add a lot to the movie. They break up the amount of scenes where Daniel tells people to not go into the shack or the Chooper will get them.
Oh no!
Ah, Chooper! It's like the perfect comedy run. Yeah.
Yeah, and it's a flat angle. He just enters left to right.
This just needs the Scooby-Doo gang.
He's great.
He is great. Every time he shows up, the movie just lights up.
He's the reason I liked this movie 10 years ago. Because he just awkwardly runs in from the side of the camera with his knife held up over his head. It's like that scene in The Exorcist 3. Just like, they do it like 5 times in this.
And they're lacking any sort of style or pacing to make the scene actually scary.
He is wearing like an all-black outfit with just the face. It kind of resembles like a fencing outfit without the mask.
He's never on camera for very long. I think his face is always exposed.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. And his sword is like a, I don't know what kind of sword it is, like a Three Musketeers sword with the curved hilt.
It's funky looking. It's very funky looking.
It's not necessarily. It kind of looks like a fencing sword, but it's not as pointy and thin.
It's not as thin. The blade's too fat.
But it's certainly not. My point is, it's not a scary weapon. It's a silly weapon.
It's not your classic butcher knife.
It's not a butcher knife, and it's not a machete. Both of those fall under scary. And his outfit looks like a cat burglar outfit mixed with a fencing outfit, with the mustache. So he kind of, it's like a fencer meets Three Musketeers in the desert. What would have been more appropriate is like a cowboy.
A potato sack over his head.
Yeah, a scarecrow potato sack costume, a dusty cowboy with like a burlap sack face with just the eye holes cut out.
Classic executioner's hood.
Hey,
Sure. What is it? The town that feared sundown.
Town that dreaded sundown. Yeah. Texarkana.
Yeah,
right?
yeah. Something like that. That's falls in theme with the 150-year-old building.
Yeah.
And not
just a black jumpsuit.
Not just a black cat suit, jumpsuit fencing outfit with the Three Musketeers sword.
You want to imply that it's the vengeful ghost of the dead great-great-grandfather.
Right.
Instead, it turns out the shocking twist is that it's one of the only 3 characters in the film. Oh my God, it's Tim, the guy who wants to buy the land.
That's not the Chooper. He's not 150 years old. That's Tim Foster. He's just trying to scare you off your ranch. Don't let anybody ever tell you different. Don't ever go in that old house, or the Chooper will get you.
and the Oscar goes to.
And the Oscar.
He's just trying to scare you off your ranch. Don't let anybody ever tell you different. Don't ever go in that old house, or the Chooper will get you.
But there is, prior to Tim, a Chooper that existed before him.
That's the question, is the Chooper that we see in the movie before the big reveal that it's Tim at the end, is that supposed to be the real Chooper? And the only time it's Tim is in that final scene.
I think this is just going back to Scooby-Doo logic. There's always been an old legend about the killer ghost in the area that never really existed.
Well, Daniel at the beginning, after he disposes of the body of the blonde girl that stays overnight, because he responds very nonchalantly, like, oh, he's used to this by now.
It's happening.
It's like, oh, I gotta dump another body.
No! I warned you! I told you that Chooper would get you, but you wouldn't listen! No!
So where are these other bodies coming from?
Bad filmmaking? Or maybe maybe Tim's just been trying this goofy murder plot to run the people off the land for like the last 15 years. It just hasn't ever worked, but he's still trying.
That could be.
Right around the time Daniel got hired.
Yeah.
Because, the first murder potentially probably would have been the blonde girl. Daniel probably should have said, oh my God, like, oh, call the police, someone's been murdered, like I can't.
Yeah, I've always heard about the legends, but I've never experienced an actual killing on our property.
So were the legends real? We're gonna assume Tim picked up on like you said, the Scooby-Doo effect, picked up on the history, decided to play it to his advantage to get Carol to sell him the property because he wanted it. It had a secret water reservoir.
Yeah, that's thrown in a line of dialogue.
And something else, I forgot what it was.
Should have been oil. It was water.
They did say there was like a lake under there, yeah. Or a river or something.
Which maybe meant that the land could be fertile. I don't know anything about farming, but...
Well, you live in like a desert area, any source of water is useful.
So maybe it was like, if you didn't know about the groundwater, then maybe you didn't even bother trying to plant crops.
Yeah.
So maybe he knew, but oil would have been better.
Yeah.
That would have been more movie-like, more easily translatable.
I understand how somebody can profit off of this.
The layman needs to we don't know a lot about farming as Milwaukeean.
I'm sure it requires more than digging dirt, though.
Right. But if there's an oil deposit directly under the Chooper house, that makes sense to the layman as if to why someone would find that valuable. The movie makes lots of mistakes.
Easily correctable mistakes.
Easily correctable mistakes.
Oh my God! I warned you! I told you the Chooper would get you! Look what... Oh my God!
Well, we often talk about, with these movies, a lot of times they feel like the filmmakers are like, what do we have? And so they put whatever they have in the movie to add to the production value. And then in the case of this movie, they're like, what do we have? We got a shack.
A blood shack?
We got a shack, and we got a sword that we found at an antique store. How do we make a movie around this?
Well, my kid was a pirate for Halloween last year. And so we've got a plastic pirate sword.
Yeah, that's all they got. And even that wasn't enough to make it feature length. All these things. So they had to stretch it out with shots of puppies and cowboys.
They had to go to the rodeo 4 times during the film. Daniel had to walk around. That shot where Caroline is walking up to the house.
Oh yeah, in her flag pans.
I think you need to do a side-by-side of the pan shot of the Golden Gate Bridge from the room and see which one wins.
Which one's longer?
Yeah, I think. One is meant to stretch the running time. One is pure incompetence.
Yeah.
Which one's which, Jay?
Yes.
Mm-hmm. Correct answer.
Daniel?
Like there's no noises. It's just wind.
There's like a shadow that
They're
keeps...
going to add those later, Rich. They just haven't gotten around to it yet.
What you do if you want to build tension is you have a blonde girl sit on a filthy mattress and react to sound effects that we as the audience don't hear.
Okay.
See, we know there's tension because Daniel keeps running in and says, "You gotta stay out of that house. The Chooper will get you."
Yeah.
And he keeps doing that.
Tension is lingering on a shot for a very long time as a character in American flag pants walks across the desert. It goes on for a long time. That means it's building tension.
Will the shot ever end? I don't know.
That is tension.
Hitchcock always said tension is when there's a bomb under the table and the audience knows it's there, but the characters don't. But Ray Dennis Steckler has taught us that tension is when nothing happens.
Who is the horror master?
We do get a similar scene to Psycho, the post-shower scene in Psycho, where Norman Bates has to clean up after Mother and put the body in the back of his car.
You know what, Jay? I think everyone in this film needed a shower scene because there were some dirty people.
Was Was Daniel intentional?
Have you seen the faces of the little girls? Do they have parents?
Do you remember the fight scene?
Yes.
Let me shovel a while,
See, this is all they do on the ranch. They shovel.
That's all you can do. It's
shovel
nothing but dirt.
I'm serious.
Forget.
God, it's getting violent.
Jesus Christ. Wow!
Oh, come on, stop it.
When the little girls are just playing with a shovel, and we keep cutting the little girls. I'm like, why are we cutting the little girls playing with a shovel? And then it's revealed that the little girls are standing right next to this violent fight between two grown men.
It's like that comedy shot in, I don't know if it's in one of the Naked Gun movies or if it was on Police Squad, where we cut back and forth between Frank Drebin shooting and then the bad guy shooting, and then we cut to the wide shot and they're right next to each other. And then we assume, because we've seen movies before, that the little girls were going to dig up one of the bodies that Daniel has been hiding because he's covering up for the Chooper for no good reason.
Why is Daniel covering up for the Chooper?
We never really know. I guess he's just concerned about the legacy of this property and he doesn't want it to be sullied.
He's a damn good caretaker. That's why. But that fight scene, that was poised for some classic Alfred Hitchcock tension. With those two fighting, one of them is the killer, right? And you see like where the girls are playing with the shovel, you see like kind of freshly buried lumps. Boom, boom. Every now and then the camera's panning, they're looking over their shoulder and the camera kind of moves a little bit. And then finally, they're just playing around in one of the third freshly covered up holes. And then they have to speed up the fight. He's desperately trying to knock out Tim before they get to that point. And then finally the girls do. And then that first girl's hand kind of comes out, but nobody notices it. And, you know, something like that.
In fact, Tim's hat during the fight gets knocked off and it falls like on like where the hand has been revealed.
Right. Hey, there you go. Because that's a running theme in this movie is hats falling off. Can we talk about the famous hat falling off scene? Daniel's on the porch and his hat falls off. And it was the most exciting thing to happen in the film.
That's okay, Chooper. You keep knocking them off, I'll keep burying them. They're not gonna tear this old house down. They gotta find the bodies first. They'll never find the bodies where I put them.
What the hell?
But they'll never knock this whole house down.
He's talking to the Chooper. But his hat fell off in the take, and they just left it. He's talking to the Chooper. Like, woo, his hat blows off, and then he's like, looks at the camera. You see a hand like a blurry hand go like this, just in the corner of the frame, and then he keeps talking. His hat also flies off when him and Carol are walking. Carolyn, they're saving film. They don't, you know, they're saving money. Hats off to the director. Is that tumbleweed?
I think, you know what, I would say, even though this isn't the most exciting B movie in the world, I think if you're this type of person that saw Star Wars, and it's like, oh, this was influenced by Flash Gordon shorts, so you went back and you watched those Flash Gordon shorts, knowing that they're not as good as Star Wars, you know, hey, I've seen, you know, Miami Connection. I've seen all these B movies. I should go back and see Blood Shack.
Yeah. And I would say I have seen duller, worse movies on Best of the Worst.
Yes, we usually destroy them.
but
this one has a special place there.
I know.
Yeah, there is lots of baffling stuff in this.
The repetition of the dialogue is funny.
Yeah.
It kind of wears on you, where he's just constantly telling people to watch out for the Chooper. Yeah. The word the Chooper, which is a nonsensical word to begin with, loses all meaning about 15 minutes into the film.
Yes, it's never quite explained. And then the desperate attempt to save the movie by adding voiceover is funny. The Chooper attack scenes are comical. There's just a lot of good stuff in it, and it doesn't wear out its welcome. It moves along.
That's for sure. It ended
which is
sooner
surprising.
than we were expecting.
Yeah.
I don't know what I'm going to do. I think I'll just worry about it tomorrow.
I'll just worry about it tomorrow. There was just a murder.
Did he call the cops?
An attempted murder.
Yeah, oh, we're done.
Oh!
I thought it was 70 minutes. It's not even 60 minutes.
And it's just like all those like movie beats that needed to be there, like the big ending, you know, where there's a big, like I said, the rodeo people come into the ranch at the end and throwing a big party, and then the trooper comes out and has kills multiple people in this big epic ending. That none of that happens. It's so low budget and so restricted, but it still holds up in terms of watching a relatively short B movie that's kind of bizarrely fascinating to watch.
It has that, you kind of have to look at it from the lens of like the story behind the movie, where you're looking at it from the perspective of the filmmaking and what was going on behind the scenes. That adds a bit to it. If you're just watching it as a B movie, yeah, it's not hilarious or anything.
Well, maybe we'll take a little break from Ray Dennis Steckler and maybe watch another film by a notoriously bad filmmaker.
Well, let me know when we're gonna do that. Get me uppity up to date.
I will, Rich.
Okay.
Stay away from this house. Now, that was your mother on the phone, and she wants you home now. Come on. Get going. If you want to play around here anymore, stay away from this house.